All right, here we go. We're gonna finish this fly off now. It's a two-step process. It's a long one. So obviously lenses have changed. We're back further now. You can't even see the end of the fly. 9. We're gonna be about 10. First things first. Long white buck hair. And a decent amount of it. We've got to have enough to fill in that big gap that is there because of the extension. So this is where now it becomes critical to have really long bucktail. This stuff is 4 to 5 inches, I'd bet. A good bucktail I found somewhere actually flares decently. So we got that. That's our white. First thing we're going to do is tie in our olive on the top, which is very long as well, but I doubt it will flare at all. So we're going to tie that in with that GSP and really see what we can do. See what we can get out of it. Again, it's about 4 to 5 inch hair. On these, I really only want to do 2 chunks of hair on this front hook. Like that's, I'm limiting it to 1 chunk on the back and 2 on the front, 1 being the big reverse tied chunk. And then this other body stuff, so to fill in the gap. Okay, so, well, we can always hope it fills in better. Now we're going long. So you can see I'm really setting this up. A lot of hair. Want to cover this zone. This GSP might, oh, this stuff at the base of this bucktail will flare a little. Okay, well that is fun to see because I didn't think that was going to happen. Let's see, where are we at tip wise? Yeah, that should be about right. You know, lay it flat, see what it's, well, it's kind of coming in just shy of where the tips are on the back part of the fly. There we go. Probably could have used my other thread, which is usually nicer for hair that does flare. You can kind of control it more with the thicker Danville 210. I know it's hard to see. It's hard for me to see too, so we're all struggling. But, yeah, that's big enough. We should be able to make sense of it. And I'll have a big chunk of hair here again, but that's okay. That's just what it is. Yep, that's about 50-50, goes halfway. Star is born. Now we get our white out. Measure it up with the olive that's over top. Nice and long. So we're really going to cover up that gap in there. That's kind of the key. You want it to all flow together, but create the right spacing. to get your length out of the fly. Separate this, help it flare, lock it into place. Clean it up a little bit. Like I said, we're ain't building a piano here. This is a big chunk of meat, so we can be a little off in a few spots and it's gonna work out fine. That should do it. That should do it. The other thing is, like, these are going to sit in fly boxes and get mashed down. So, whatever. Doesn't matter. Just... Okay. So, I got that stuff tied in. I apparently did not need my GSP. That both those bucktail clumps kind of flared better than I expected. Whatever. I'm going to go to the Danville because my next major step is the reverse tie. So gotta have thicker thread on the reverse tie. Okay, that's good to go. A couple of these are standing up a little crazy. Oh. So we'll go back to the medium Palmer chenille. It actually feels like large, whatever, doesn't matter. Now I kind of quit with my mono connection where I did, because that's about where I'm going to want to do the reverse tie. There's 8 million different colors of olive out there as well. I actually picked this one because this is my longest bucktail, which, it's just what it is, man. I might like it a little darker, but hell, it don't matter. Notice I do have the olive tails. I do like the olive tails. And this is gonna be, man, I can't wait to throw this in the lakes too. This is gonna crush. Oh, we kind of cover that up a little, whatever-ish. Wrap back over it. It's kind of what I always do to just make sure it's going to stay. Boom, boom. Going to get back to this olive bucktail, long olive bucktail. So when I measure this up, it's going to kind of be tips even because we are going to reverse tie it. So you got to give yourself a little extra. And then we're just going to flip it around, lay it in. This is how we do all these. A couple loose wraps, and then I tend to try to spread it out a little bit. See, this is going to flare just fine with this thread. Spin it around, section off that chunk back there. And now see how much we lose on the front side because I had it. Oh yeah, yeah. Lost some hairs there. That's all right. Should still be plenty when you add the craft fur in. Perfect. Packer, stacker. There we go. Yeah, that's going to be about the right taper. So the first thing I do is really jam that back and just slip the thread through that hair. And then start coming back. Then I'll start evening it out all the way around a little bit more. The bigger fly is not the end-all be-all for big fish, but I will say I've had enough times in my life down here seeing seeing a big one come chase a fly and having a very small one grab it, that, you do get to that point where it's how do you eliminate the smaller ones. It doesn't always work. I've been catching 17 inchers on some of these. So the key is just to try to limit that type of occurrence in your life, because it's really, really heartbreaking. That should be about there. A little bit more thread here, got to even that out. And that be looking about right. Now we get our craft fur out. Typically you go through a lot of craft fur to get enough stuff that's long enough. And it won't be as long as your bucktail 98% of the time, but it's just kind of filling it in a little from that reverse tie. And it's also given a little different color. Like I like this. This is that medium olive craft fur. So it's gonna just be a little darker, which, it always seems to me when I look at fish in the water that, the heads and tails are a little bit darker. Hence the reason I tend to tie with a darker color tail of the two I'm using a lot. Unless I just have some incredible feathers that need to be attached to a fly, which one of my tan and browns turned out that way because of it. Spread it around nice and easy. It's kind of just a veil, kind of fills it out and makes it a little more full. And we'll get our white. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now if we want, we can add even a little more flare. Put a little magenta gill on it. Oh my God, oh, that's gonna be the difference. I'm sure of it. Okay, there we go. Now we're getting somewhere. This is where I switch back over to the GSP too. I like being able to finish off these brushes in the front with just that thinner thread. It just makes life a lot easier. So at this point, we're gonna dig out a brush and get this done. So I took a 2-inch brush and trimmed it down. Probably could get away with just a straight 1-incher. They were out of stock. This is what I have. The other thing about leaving it a bit long is like it's so easy to adjust it even when you're fishing. Just take a pair of scissors with you and lop that thing down and you're in, you know. So it's not a big deal. It's not like deer hair where if you have too much on there, it's really hard to cast. These are really easy, you know. They just, it's, I don't know, man, it's so much easier. You know, you take some big old deer hair head and it doesn't want to go in the wind. I have not had that issue with these, you know, which is a lot of the reason I fish them. It's just easier on the angler, and that the longer and more frequently you can cast, the better you're gonna do. And this, a lot of times this is a game of attrition, especially for the biggest fish. You know, it's just, dude, they do crazy stuff. So if you just keep it out there and keep grinding that big bait, cast it out in the deepest water all day, and you never know what'll show up. And sometimes they just show up and look, but hell, then it's like musky fishing where you're getting a lot of the excitement out of just seeing some creature that big. Bunch of whip finishes. It's good. We'll take our side cutters, slide in here. Bink. We'll trim a little bit of that off. Then you can spin it, you know, and just kind of even it up as you go around. I'd prefer to leave it longer, you know, and see how she kicks. And see how she's looking. And go from there. Dull up these scissors a little bit more here. There we go. And that's your guy. That is about 11 inches of pain, man. Womp, 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 womp. Boof, boof. Awesome. So that's the finished product, man. It's fun. So anyway, like, subscribe, whatever. Hopefully I didn't drag that out too long. But it gives you another option as a big fly to throw, whether you're fishing trout, pike, muskies, bass, whatever you want. That's a 10 incher, so that should cover most of your stuff. Thanks.